Well, good evening one, good evening all. We are here for one more time, playing a bit more Danganronpa, a bit more of an unusual approach. More relaxed, more sedate. We survived the halls of Hope's Peak Academy. We've escaped the island of Jabberwock with everybody else. We've even fought Monokumas on the streets of Towa City. Now, we're going to unwind. We're going to relax. An extra that was unlocked in the second game, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair, was this. It's a mini-novel called Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, If. The Button of Hope and the Tragic Warriors of Despair. So consider this a chill-out stream, a relaxing stream, where we're going to delve a little deeper into what could happen in the world of Hope's Peak Academy. The chat box is open. I will go through the occasional comments as we go. I don't think I'm going to be doing a lot of different voices for this because there's that many characters in it. I'm not going to be that good. But as much as I want to stay here looking at my bay and Oshima Junko for the rest of the evening, it's about time we got into the first act of Danganronpa, If, the Button of Hope and the Tragic Warriors of Despair. Monokuma's monologue. The world is full of ifs. If Adam hadn't tied the knot with Eve, society as we know it would never have been born. The world that everyone lives in is just one outcome among countless ifs, and will continue to be a muddled world overflowing with infinite ifs. If is what's in miso soup, you know. What lies beyond this point is a scary world, filled with iffy stepfathers who abandon their families. A Klein bottle where the inside and the outside are filled with uncertainty. But don't break it, okay? It'd be so expensive that there's no way you'd ever be able to pay me back. But no matter how you look at it, ifs are simply worlds unlike any other. No matter how hypothetical the story may be, the future is the only thing that's truly foggy. And the past is more solid than a frozen banana. You can't change a conclusion that has already happened. Even if you see a world that may have existed, it wouldn't affect the people living in reality. Because if is only if, after all. Even if a parallel world exists where a particular if actually happened, humans cannot cross the boundaries between worlds that easily. No matter how far if goes, it will always be a what if scenario. Do you really want to see that? You've got such sick interests. Don't you think that's an insult to Makoto and the others after the tragedy they overcame? Though as far as I'm concerned, I'll still insult them. If you're going to look at if, I think it's better if you view the outside of the Klein bottle first. It might even be better if you view the ending of a video game called Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Try to play it multiple times and spend your free time with Oshima Junko at least 3 times too. It may be ideal if you can collect all the items and the movies too. But if you guys have come this far, I'm sure you've already done all that. Still, I'd buy the game if I were you. I'd actually buy at least 2 copies if I were you. The curtain lowers. What should I do with this? Naegi Makoto was at a loss. Despite his hesitation, his situation was extremely simple and composed of 3 key factors. The first factor was that Makoto was currently locked inside a school. Hope's Peak Academy is a school for the privileged elite, and each student attending possesses ultimate talent. Makoto was chosen to attend Hope's Peak Academy by a lottery held to select the ultimate lucky student. When he first arrived for his first day of school, he immediately lost consciousness, and when he woke up, he saw all the exits and windows had been sealed shut. The next factor was Monokuma, a mysterious robot bear being operated by the mastermind, and the announcement he made to all the students. "You'll be living your whole life in this academy," he declared. "If you want to leave, then kill someone and become the Blackened." This strange, remote-controlled robot was telling Makoto and his fellow Ultimates to start killing each other in exchange for their freedom. They learned that more than one Monokuma exists, and that each one contains a bomb to prevent anyone from attacking them. On top of that, Monokuma announced that anyone who attempted to harm him would receive punishment. The third and final factor was the red button that Makoto was currently holding in his hand. The words "escape button" were crudely written on this button in marker. And though the first two factors were certainly causes for panic, Makoto only seemed at a loss over the third. During his free time, Makoto noticed that the school store was open, and his curiosity got the better of him. He was overwhelmed by the disjointed atmosphere upon entering, but his attention was soon focused on a strange vending machine. The words "Mono Mono Machine" were written on it, and it seemed to accept the strange, bear-patterned coins they sometimes found inside the school. It seemed like a bad idea, but Makoto thought there might be a chance that this machine could dispense some way of escaping the school. And so, he inserted the only coin he had into the coin slot, and the result was the escape button mentioned earlier. There's a limit to how much you can tease us. Maybe the mastermind who trapped us in here is making a cruel joke. These thoughts filled Makoto's mind, and he began to feel deeply discouraged. However, there's always a chance, right? Makoto was just an ordinary boy, and he only gained entry to Hope's Peak Academy through a lottery to find the ultimate lucky student. Maybe that luck was the real deal. If this button is real, maybe I can let Sayaka. Makoto took a deep, slow breath and pressed the button. Instantly, pain burst through his entire body. Makoto's arms and legs went limp as he lost his balance and fell to the floor in a crumpled heap. As he breathed heavily, it dawned on him what had just happened. I got electrocuted. He looked down at the button in his hand and noticed a small needle sticking out of it. Makoto quickly surmised that an electric current must have been running through it. After regaining enough of his strength to stand back up, Makoto thought about it once again. I should have known. It was a fake. Just how sick and twisted was the mastermind? My head still feels a little woozy. I should go back to my room and rest. With that in mind, Makoto walked out of the school store with slow, careful steps. But Makoto didn't know yet. If the escape button really was a fake, it would have been an act of mercy from the mastermind. A small, bear-shaped shadow began moving inside the now empty school store. The shadow, Monokuma, stood before the mono machine and stared at it silently. But after some time passed, he began to laugh. A cold, hollow laugh, utterly devoid of emotion. Despite the fact that he was alone, Monokuma began to talk, almost as if he was speaking to someone. Perhaps Monokuma was talking directly to the mastermind controlling him. I only put in the Mano machine because I thought it'd be interesting if one of the last few survivors happened to win it. But with a success rate of 0.0000001%, I never thought anyone would actually win it. Perhaps I should have expected the ultimate lucky student to overcome such impossible odds. Monokuma started blushing and breathing heavily for no apparent reason. A robot like Monokuma doesn't need to breathe, but because his technology is super advanced, he can express himself like a living creature. Makoto was chosen through a lottery, and now he's won the escape button through a lottery. This is obviously impossible, right? Is this what a miracle is? Is this all systems go toward escaping? Is something that defies all common sense about to come crashing into my world? Well, even though I didn't really want this at all, I've got started to enjoy this new sensation. We'll be back after these commercials. Monokuma's internal machinery began running at full capacity, and his facial expressions began changing more smoothly than any humans could. Suddenly, his expressions immediately stopped, and he whispered through his speakers. But is this really good look? After muttering something so ominous, Monokuma's loud, screeching laughter rang jarringly throughout the room. The situation that was about to unfold contained two conflicting emotions in equal measure: hope and despair. The next day, Makoto's bedroom. Nagi Makoto lay on his bed, desperately struggling with the despair and hope churning within him. Monokuma had forced the students to each watch a DVD earlier that day. Makoto showed a scene that suggested his parents and little sister were in danger, and he now found himself determined to leave the school. It seems the other students were forced to watch shocking videos of their own. Videos so shocking that they were now determined to escape the school too, even if it meant sacrificing someone to do it. However, it was obvious that these videos were part of Monokuma's trap. As long as the student killed someone, they were allowed to graduate and leave the academy. It seemed that the mastermind controlling Monokuma was hell-bent on making the students kill each other. But right now, Makoto was most worried about Mizono Sayaka, who seemed to be incredibly distressed after watching her DVD. Sayaka wasn't just the ultimate pop sensation. She was also Makoto's classmate when they were students at Blackroot Junior High. Her optimism had been encouraging Makoto these past few days, and he was becoming a similar source of strength for her as well. If nothing else, I have to at least save Sayaka. As soon as Makoto thought that, he suddenly felt a small headache. Was he still reeling from being punched by Mondo earlier the other day? Or was this a side effect of being electrocuted by the escape button? As Makoto pondered these things, the pain slowly subsided, and he returned to his determined thoughts of escape. Anyway, we all need to work together and... At that moment, Makoto realized his goal had changed slightly. We all need to? Ideally, it would be best if everyone survived together. However, aside from Sayaka, Makoto had never met the other students before. He didn't know if they could even be trusted in the first place. But at that moment, he trusted them without even an ounce of suspicion. He believed they were worth helping, even at the cost of his own life. Just like Sayaka. Why? The headache struck again. As if all the blood vessels in his brain were being individually sliced open. Why did I just think I could just trust the others as much as I trust Sayaka? Makoto tried to figure out why his thought process had suddenly changed. Something was wrong. The throbbing pain in his head seemed to synchronize with a strange feeling that something was approaching him. As a ray of light began to form within the dark recesses of his own mind, the doorbell rang. Someone's here. He quickly got out of bed, but that only made the headache worse. With no concern for his safety, Makoto carelessly opened the door to his room and came face to face with Sayaka. I'm really sorry to come by so late. Sayaka? The pain. What are you doing out so late? The moment he saw her face, the pulsating pain in Makoto's head began accelerating. He felt like his world was being torn apart from the inside out. Sorry to bother you, but something really weird's just happened. And Makoto, what's wrong? You don't look so well. Sayaka was pale and had been trembling when she came to Makoto's room, but she seemed surprised to see that his own complexion was worse than her own. Yeah, I'm fine. It's just my head. Makoto couldn't finish his sentence. His eyes rolled back into his head as he lost consciousness and slowly fell to the floor. And Sayaka's beautiful voice let out a scream as she stood over Makoto's body. The next day, the nurse's office. Oh, you're awake! Hey, you okay? How many fingers am I holding up? As Makoto regained consciousness, he was greeted by the sight of fingers adorned with long, fake nails being waved in his face. You... Inoshima, right? Hey, why do you sound so unsure? I'm a little shocked to hear you say that. Despite what she said, Inoshima Junko, the ultimate fashionista, was laughing as if she found this all very amusing. Makoto looked around and realised he'd never seen this place before. It looked somewhat like a hospital. 3 beds, including his own, were lined up in the room, with various medical instruments laid around them. The black ceiling had felt strangely oppressive, but as he sat up, Makoto's mind immediately centred on one possibility. Where are we? Did we get rescued? That'd be nice, huh? She replied as she looked away. Junko explained that this was the nurse's office on the 1st floor of the academy. That Monokuma thing said, I can't bear to see my precious students getting sick, and opened this place up this morning. But don't you think it's suspicious? What if all these meds are poison? To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. Makoto remembered his encounter with the escape button and let out a small sigh. So, why am I here? Junko. You should fight Sayaka for that. She was here the whole night taking care of you. She was? Junko ignored Makoto's surprise and continued casually talking. But then Taka got all fired up and was like, we should take turns watching over him. I just happened to be on duty when you woke up. Well, and even then, only because Byakuya ditched. I see. Thanks. Like I said, you should thank Sayaka. Anyway, how are you feeling? Is everything alright? Makoto thought about it for a moment. I remembered what he had been thinking about just before he lost consciousness. This is kind of weird, but... Actually, it's a really weird question, but... What's up? Junko, we've never met each other before, right? Upon hearing this, Junko's eyes widened. But a few seconds later, she began to laugh. Are you for real? That pickup line is like so totally played out, you know? Even though she was grinning, a serious look came over her face. Just so you know, you shouldn't expect anything like that from me. I know I look this way, but I take my virtue pretty seriously. No, I never expected... Well, that's what I figured. It's obvious that you're a total Omega male anyway. Makoto and Junko continued to talk to one another. Although he wondered why Junko was talking to him instead of leaving to get the others, Makoto didn't question it. He just wanted to talk to someone. Anyone. As long as he interacted with his fellow students, he believed he would learn the truth about what was going on inside his head. 10 minutes later, Junko mostly talked about alpha males and omega males, her time being homeless, and about her past and her dreams for the future. The last topic was a lot heavier than the previous ones, but Makoto's calm demeanour seemed to cheer her up. She smiled sincerely and said softly, "Thanks, Makoto." Maybe it was a sign of gratitude for listening to her troubles, but she kept that same smile as she blurted out something horrifying. "In return, I promise that if I do decide to kill someone, it won't be you." Don't say scary stuff like that. At least, that's what Makoto thought, but the words that came out of his mouth expressed a different sentiment. I see. Thanks. But I wouldn't want you to become the Blackened in the first place. For some reason, Makoto felt like the murderous words that came out of Junko's mouth seemed like a natural thing for her to say. She seemed very surprised by Makoto's response and quickly blurted out, "Huh? Are you serious? I was just kidding." Huh? Oh yeah, of course. Sorry for acting so weird. No worries. Let's just talk since you're being woozy from your recovery. She returned to her usual bubbly self, let out a big stretch, and turned to Makoto. "I'm gonna get going now. Make sure you don't get killed before the next person arrives." After seeing her off, Makoto lay back down in the bed and started thinking to himself. What is this strange feeling? His dull headache continued as his thoughts began to blur. I was just talking to Junko, but I feel like I was talking to someone else. Who is she? The more he thought, the more it felt like his memories were sinking into a thick swamp. Each throb of pain pulsing in his head felt like a wave on the surface of that swamp. What is this feeling? It felt very unpleasant, as though someone's voice was screaming at him from inside his head. Makoto tried to organise his thoughts and go over everything that had happened to him. But he was interrupted by the sound of a bell. Unlike the dorm rooms, the nurse's office didn't have a doorbell. The bell sound that Makoto heard was ringing throughout the entire building. Ahem, ahem. Testing, testing. Mic check, 1, 2. This is a test of the school broadcast system. It was Monokuma's voice. Now that Makoto has finally woken up, please assemble at the gym. Makoto listened to Monokuma's heartless order and got out of bed without complaining. I have to go. He walked one step at a time, in accordance with the rhythm of his throbbing headache. Slowly, slowly, he walked forward, not knowing if where he was headed was heaven or hell. Makoto, are you alright? Sayaka ran over to Makoto as soon as he entered the gym. Thanks. Sorry about yesterday. I guess I really worried you. Please don't apologise. I'm sorry too. I barged into your room when you weren't feeling well. Now that you mention it, said Makoto, what happened yesterday? Sayaka looked away for a brief moment, but immediately turned back, smiled her pop sensation smile, and shook her head. It's nothing. I'll tell you some other time. Huh? While they were talking, Ishimaru Kiyotaka, the ultimate moral compass, stepped forward, pointing an accusatory finger at Makoto. You're late, Makoto! Explain why you were tardy! The other students collectively raised their eyebrows, as if they were thinking, why is this guy yelling at someone who was sick? However, Makoto just smiled gently and answered him honestly. I didn't feel well, so I was resting in the nurse's office. Can you note that in the daily logbook? I see! That's consistent with my information. If that's the case, then I shall consider this matter settled. The conversation progressed smoothly, and Taka smiled as he kept talking. I'll take full responsibility for recording it. You just focus on recovering. If you ever feel ill, please report to the health committee. It seems we'll need to appoint health committee members after this meeting, though. Taka walked away, mumbling to himself as he opened the daily logbook he found in the academy's supply room. Celestial Ludenberg, the ultimate gambler, saw the whole conversation and walked up to Makoto. Despite his unreasonable behaviour, you knew exactly what to say to him. Huh? As soon as Celeste said that, it dawned on Makoto. It's true that he didn't feel well, and that he had been resting in the nurse's office. But when Taka asked him why he was late, even though he should have already known the reason, Makoto didn't feel annoyed or disappointed at all. It was as if he expected Taka to say that. Makoto felt strange that he had accepted Taka's personality so quickly. He couldn't understand why he asked Taka to do something as unnecessary as recording it in the daily logbook in the first place. Why did I say that? It's like I was used to it. His response to Taka's demand came as naturally to him as breathing. Why? Every time he tried to think about it, his headache grew even worse. As Makoto struggled to think through the pain of his headaches, a black and white stuffed animal jumped out from behind the gym's podium and began twirling around as it spoke in a cheerful voice. Hey guys, is everyone here? He sounded like he was about to lead the students on a field trip, but not a single one of them had a smile on their faces. What is it this time? Are we going to hijack a cruise ship and run it into a gigantic worm? Of course, there was one exception. Hagakure Yasuhiro, the ultimate clairvoyant, still believed that their current situation was some kind of planned event. Monokuma just ignored him and continued to address the students with his adorable voice. Today I'm going to tell you about our wonderful academy system. System sure sounds like a great word, don't you think? It reeks of danger, just like a bear. I want you all to trample over the deaths of your friends and grow up to have hardened hearts. It's good to be a little naughty. I want you all to grow poisonous personalities. After making his nonsensical introduction, Monokuma moved on to the next topic. With this, he began providing a detailed explanation of the most vile system in the school, the class trial. Now, you can't just kill someone. You gotta kill someone without anyone else finding out you did it. Monokuma talked about his horrible graduation program with casual indifference. But because the killing hadn't happened yet, his lecture didn't instill any despair in the students. As long as the killing never occurred, there'd be no point to the class trial. But no one could really say that the killing wasn't going to happen. As the students' suspicions began to rise, Monokuma continued explaining the class trial until... Wait, hold on a second! As Monokuma began to explain the executions that would serve as punishment, one girl stepped forward. Junko? As soon as he saw how angry she was, the rhythm of Makoto's headache began to change slightly. You're freaking insane, you know that? The girl continued to complain angrily. She seemed completely different from the smiling person Makoto saw in the nurse's office. Was Junko always like that? No, she's different. That's how Junko acts, but... Is that person really Junko? What am I thinking? As Makoto struggled with his headache and confusion, Monokuma and the girl continued to argue. What? Are you saying you're not going to participate in the trial? Only punishment awaits such blasphemy! What? Punishment? I don't know, throw you in a deep, dark, scary prison or something. Different? The strange feeling he felt was now directed at Monokuma. Prison? No, they aren't that kind. A series of images flashed in Makoto's mind, and at first he thought it was some kind of parade. Octus, you're quite correct, they've all said we're going to head out, but you're here at least, so good evening. But he quickly realised that was a mistake. What looked like lights were actually buildings engulfed in flames. The red decorating the scene seemed to have come from human bodies. Despair. It wasn't confined to the academy, or even to Japan. Images of worldwide death and destruction flooded Makoto's brain with every throb of his headache. I've seen this before. Besides the indescribable violence taking place in all these images, there was one thing they had in common. Who are they? They're rampaging terrorists wearing black and white masks were wreaking havoc in these images. They took everything: money, valuables, lives, families, dignity, the past, the future, and possibly even hope. The mask these terrorists were wearing perfectly resembled the face of the stuffed animal arguing with the student before him. Shut the hell up! Say whatever you want! I'm not going to be a part of this! Don't be so selfish! You're the one being selfish! Kill whoever you want! It's got nothing to do with me! The evil standing before me! I'm trembling with fear! But I won't give in to such evil! It's my style to stick it out and resist till the very end. If you really want to get out of here, you'll have to go through me first. Monokuma swung his arms wildly as he charged at the girl with waddling steps, but the girl stomped on the self-proclaimed headmaster of the academy with ease. Are you enjoying yourself now? Pinned beneath the girl's foot, Monokuma looked up into the girl's cold eyes and calmly asked, Are you? Huh? Violence against Headmaster Monokuma is not allowed! You violated a school regulation! At that moment, a chill ran down Makoto's spine. She's gonna get killed! Monokuma's words sounded very threatening to him. It wasn't a prediction or a guess. It was as if he knew the danger Monokuma posed from the start. If this continues, Junko's going to... His mind still didn't fully grasp the situation unfolding in front of him. By the time he realised he was about to remember something, he was already running forward. Junko! The impact of his feet combined with the rhythm of his headache, sending his brain and heart into a panic. No, she's different. She's... I invoked the mighty summon spell! Help! To me, godly spirit Gungir! Monokuma wriggled out beneath the girl's foot and let out a scream. At that exact moment, Makoto charged at her and screamed out, Mukuro! Watch out! Huh? The girl dressed as Enoshima Junko widened her eyes in shock. As if to evade the charging Makoto, she jumped back with agility unheard of in a teenage high school girl. And then, right at that moment, countless spears pierced the spot where she had been standing just a split second ago. All the students, including the girl, stared wide-eyed at this sudden turn of events. Spears, too many of them to count, had shot out with blinding speed from mechanisms installed in the floor and walls of the gym. However, Makoto was unable to notice this. Huh? Why did I call Junko Mukuro? Mukuro? As that thought entered his mind, a sharp, sudden impact struck his side, followed by an intense, deathly pain that ran down his spine and spread throughout his entire body. The spear stabbed into his side, instantly tore his flesh to shreds and shot out his back, coated in blood and other bodily fluids. At that moment, the black fog that had engulfed Makoto's mind was consumed by death itself. And as his consciousness slowly faded, he remembered everything. Because of the electric jolt and the chemical compound from the escape button, because of that button that he had found by chance, Naegi Makoto managed to escape. He escaped this hopeless game where he and his fellow students had their memories stolen and were forced to kill each other. Of course, that escape is also what led him to his current life or death predicament. In the end, perhaps he only escaped from one despair to fall into another. But at that same time, his actions had unintended consequences for one person. The girl living a false identity as her beloved little sister, Enoshima Junko. Ikusaba Mukuro, the ultimate soldier and a member of Ultimate Despair. Her past, her future, perhaps even her hope itself are on the path to despair. And so, the curtain falls on Makoto's story for now. From this point, the story is about a certain girl. A girl who's more pitiful than anyone else in this sealed-off academy. A new curtain, along with new despair, shall now rise. Huh? Time had certainly stopped for Ikusaba Mukuro. It was as if everything around her had frozen perfectly still. In the past, she was known as the ultimate soldier. She had experienced this feeling before, during her time with the mercenary group, Fenrir. In situations where she was surrounded by a hopeless number of enemies within the jungle, or in a desert ruin, the charging enemies seemed as though they were frozen in time, which allowed her to claim a decisive victory in all her battles. But this wasn't a battlefield, so why did this familiar sensation activate once again? In order to understand what had happened, Mukuro slowly tried to assess the current situation from within this frozen world. Junko and Mukuro are both children of despair. But Enoshima Junko, the true ultimate despair, harbours a far deeper darkness within her. Though their last names are different, Mukuro is Junko's older sister, connected by the bonds of blood. She cooperated with Junko's hopeless plan and impersonated her under the pretense of participating in the killing game alongside her classmates. According to the plan, Mukuro was supposed to oppose Monokuma, who her sister was controlling, and be locked in a dungeon as punishment. Isolated from the others, she would then escape the dungeon and perform various acts intended to deprive the students of hope. That was the role she had been assigned. When Makoto succumbed to his headache, Junko ordered her to see if the shock had caused him to remember anything that could make him a liability. He woke up as she was tending to him, so she made small talk, but she didn't notice any change in his behaviour. Until this point, she was certain that there shouldn't be any problems. Nothing could possibly go wrong. She stomped on Monokuma like her sister ordered her to do, and flawlessly spoke the lines she was taught to memorise. Afterward, she would fall through a trap door into the dungeon and remain isolated from the other students. That was her role. She hadn't done anything wrong. There were no problems. There were no problems. She repeated that to herself over and over, like a silent prayer. But in that frozen moment in time, what she saw was not a trapdoor, but countless spears. One of them had skewered Makoto through his side. Why? Makoto, why are there spears? Gungnir? I would have died if I hadn't moved. Did Junko mess up the plan? No, Junko would never mess up. Was she trying to kill me? Me? Makoto saved me? Why? Why did he say my name? Did his memories come back? Did I not realise that? Did I make a mistake? Is that why Junko got angry? Is this punishment? Is it my fault? Junko tried to kill me. Kill me. Kill me. Kill me. Slowly, time came back to her world. Mukuro could feel her face turning pale as she slowly looked toward Makoto. The students' screams rang throughout the gym. Sayaka was probably the first one to scream, but who screamed first didn't matter to Mukuro. Makoto, why? Makoto was the ultimate lucky student. He had been her classmate for the past 2 years, and now he was a sacrifice to despair. Not long ago, he had given her an answer of sorts during their conversation in the nurse's office. He was just a pawn in the plan her sister had devised. But now, a feeling of doubt began forming in Mukuro's mind. What did I want from Makoto? As her heart churned relentlessly, she continued to think. In return, I promised that if I do decide to kill someone, it won't be you. Was I impersonating Junko then? Or did I really mean that? When did I start feeling this doubt? Just now, the moment he saved me? Or when he spoke in the nurse's office earlier? Or when I first confronted him about this killing game before his memories returned? Or was it even before that? Mukuro stood there, confused and overwhelmed. As Makoto slowly opened his eyes, the spear still impaling him from the side. Mukuro. Makoto, are you okay? Mukuro was no longer impersonating the ultimate fashionista. Looking up from the floor of the gym, Makoto asked, "Why, are you dressed up like Junko?" He was smiling. Maybe he couldn't feel the pain anymore, or maybe he was being affected by something else. But regardless, Makoto ignored the fact that he was dying, just to give Mukuro his warm smile. I'm glad you're safe, Mukuro." As soon as she heard Makoto's weak, fading voice, something inside Mukuro snapped. From within the shell of despair she had built up, an intense emotion began flowing out. No, this is all wrong! She couldn't hold back that emotion any longer. No! No! And for the first time in her life, Mukuro unleashed a scream into the world. As Mukuro fell to her knees and clutched her head, a small shadow started walking toward her back. The stuffed animal that had been under her foot. Monokuma. His claws were extended, and he was no longer walking with his usual waddle. Instead, he moved like a beast, silently stalking his prey as he slowly advanced within his target's blind spot. As he inched closer to Mukuro, Monokuma raised his razor-sharp claws, crouched on his haunches, and suddenly leapt toward the back of her neck. However, just before those claws could reach the paralysed Mukuro, a dark shadow moved in from the side and swatted those claws away with one blow. His lunge deflected, Monokuma was sent flying through the air, spinning wildly before crashing into the wall. Damn you! What are you trying to do? Sakuragami, the ultimate martial artist, had just prevented another tragedy. She stood before Monokuma and addressed him in a loud, booming voice. Not only did you attempt to kill Junko for violating school regulations, you even attacked Makoto, who had nothing to do with this. If you plan to continue acting in such a savage manner, there is no reason for us to play along with your game. Sagami Byakuya, the ultimate affluent progeny, smirked condescendingly at Sakura. Fool. One could say you've now violated school regulations with your senseless actions. He looked as if he honestly did not care if his fellow students lived or died at all. Well, she merely deflected the headmaster's attack just now, so I do not think it truly counts as an act of violence. Celeste seemed equally unfazed as she chided him over his words. However, the banter between the two was enough to stir the stunned students into action. Makoto! Sayaka was the first one to run towards him, who lay bleeding on his stomach. But Monokuma stopped her, shouting in a tone of voice that seemed completely out of character. Be careful! Don't get too close to those two! Huh? Startled by Monokuma's desperate tone, Sayaka and the others stopped moving almost instinctively. The students looked around at each other. Instead of his playful gait, Monokuma walked toward them with deliberate, methodical steps. And then, he suddenly blurted out something that took everyone, including Ikasama Mukuro, by surprise. I'm sure you're probably confused by the sudden turn of events, but I want you guys to work together. Huh? As Mukuro slowly turned her head towards Monokuma, he pointed at her and yelled, Ikusama Mukuro and her accomplice, Naegi Makoto, are the terrorists responsible for locking you all inside the academy! Once again, time stopped for Mukuro, but this time she wasn't the only one affected. Everyone seemed to be frozen in shock. After a few seconds of silence, Asahina Ai, the ultimate swimming pro, spoke first. Huh? You're kidding, right? I mean, Makoto's a terrorist? That's impossible! And who's Mukuro anyway? I mean, that's Junko! Monokuma began slowly explaining to Aoi. The real Junko must be imprisoned somewhere in this school. Worst case scenario, she might be killed. Mukuro must have researched which one of you would be easiest for her to impersonate, and hid among you all by pretending to be her. She was probably trying to make sure the killing game went smoothly. Suddenly, Monokuma's hands and feet began jerking in an awkward motion as he looked at the other students and introduced himself. I'm Madarai Bashiki, the ultimate hacker. I'm your upperclassman. I hacked into Academy from the outside and I was finally able to take control of Monokuma's body just a little while ago. To take control? From who? From the head of the terrorist organization that's controlling this robot from the outside. What? What are you saying, Junko? Mukuro trembled as she heard the words coming out of Monokuma's mouth. For a brief moment, she clung to the hope that her sister wasn't trying to kill her. But as soon as that hope was born, it was immediately consumed by despair. Junko had the power to transform hope into despair. She would never let anyone hack her that easily. There was only one explanation. Inoshima Junko was pretending to be someone named Bishiki in order to free Mukuro and Makoto. It was as though Junko was using Mukuro's survival as a branching path to lead the students to a different despair. Monokuma continued talking, telling the students more lies designed to prod them to action. On your first day at Hope's Peak Academy, you guys were exposed to sleeping gas, knocked unconscious, and taken hostage. Mukuro and Makoto are probably the only operatives that the terrorists sent inside the school. That means they probably know how to escape from here. And then Monokuma turned to face Mukuro. Ikusawa Mukuro was a member of a mercenary group called Fenrir. She's a wanted criminal who's killed over 10 people associated with the school. So don't get soft and think you can capture her alive. In fact, that's exactly what the cops told me. So the moment I saw an opening, I tried hacking the trap they set and tried to kill her. But what about Makoto? Monokuma gave a cold, emotionless answer to Sayaka's question. My guess is that a measly little ultimate plucky student didn't stand a chance of defying a group like Fenrir. He was probably threatened and forced to cooperate before you entered the school. Or, judging from his earlier actions, maybe Mukuro seduced him. Sayaka's face went pale when she heard that answer, and she immediately stopped talking. Mukuro raised her head and shouted, You're wrong! Makoto isn't a terrorist! You all have to believe me! The whole gym fell silent. And then, as if he was speaking for everyone there, Taka stepped forward and nervously asked, Hold on! What do you mean Makoto isn't a terrorist? It sounds like you're saying that there's no doubt that you, in fact, are a terrorist! I ask that you correct yourself at once and say, we are not terrorists! Celeste began expressing her own doubts as well. It is strange. Does it not seem odd that she is so protective of someone we all just met a few days ago? Mukuro stood in silence. The other students' faces began to fill with suspicion and doubt as they realised they weren't looking at the real Inoshima Junko. Byakuya pushed up his glasses and began coldly pointing out what seemed out of place to him. I heard that fool Makoto, or whatever his name is, call you Mukuro instead of Junko. How would Makoto know that your name is really Mukuro if he just met you not that long ago? That's... I've also heard of Fenrir, continued Byakuya. As I recall, its members have a tattoo somewhere on their body. Instinctively, Byakuya's words put Mukuro into a calm state of mind. In hostile situations, her defensive reflexes as the ultimate soldier often manifested themselves. Mukuro's tattoo was on the back of her right hand. She wondered how she could hide this from the other students without calling attention to it. But in the end, this concern was in vain. If the police's records are true, she should have a tattoo on the back of her right hand. As Monokuma freely divulged that information, "Alright!" cried Taka, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "Show us the back of your right hand and prove your innocence!" Monokuma dispensed another unnecessary remark. "Make sure you look real close! She might have covered it up with foundation!" Junko had ordered Mukuro to hide her tattoo this way, so Monokuma's information was entirely true. There was nothing Mukuro could do except stay quiet. However, she wasn't staying quiet because her identity was about to be exposed. She was struck by the realization that her sister was completely serious about pinning this on her. "Why the hesitation?" shouted the foolishly honest Taka. "As my classmate, I have complete faith in you!" From behind him, Yamada Hifumi, the ultimate fanfic creator, murmured to himself as cold sweat rolled down his cheeks. "Well, look at that! I guess this is what they call a checkmate, huh? Why don't you just fess up already, you fucking bastard!" In contrast to Hifumi, Owado Monda, the ultimate biker gang leader, was royally pissed. However, there were some students who were busy questioning Monokuma instead of Mukuro. "Hey, you're not coming to save us!" shouted Leon Kawata, the ultimate baseball star. "You should hurry up and change in here already!" Monokuma looked at Leon and shook his head softly. "The police can't help you right now. Not only are you guys hostages, it's possible that the entire school has been rigged with explosives and poisonous gas. I hacked into this Monokuma robot to investigate that for myself." "What about everyone on that DVD? What about everyone outside the school?" asked Sayaka. The memory of the DVD she was forced to watch yesterday still weighed heavily on her mind, but Monokuma didn't have a clear answer. "I don't know anything about any DVDs, but there are definitely terrorists causing havoc out here. Law enforcement around the world is in shambles trying to deal with this." "That's impossible!" Sayaka shuddered and collapsed to her knees. "Sayaka." Next to her, Fujisaki Chihiro, the ultimate programmer, was unsure about what she should do. Behind her, two other girls stood silently. The first was Fukawa Toko, the ultimate writing prodigy. She seemed to be trying very hard not to look at Makoto as he lay bleeding. The other was a quiet girl, who hadn't talked about herself much, named Kirigiri Kyoko. Unlike Toko, Kyoko was watching everything intently, as if she was studying the scene of a crime. From Makoto's breathing patterns to subtle changes in Mukuro's facial expression, nothing was escaping her attention. Suddenly, Toko began nervously talking to Sakura. So anyway, let's just say that Mukuro woman or whoever over there is a terrorist. Hurry up and beat her to death or something. "We don't know that yet," said Sakura. "My fists do not mete out justice based on simple speculation." Sakura tried to get near Makoto to examine his wounds, but Monokuma stood in her way, shouting, "Don't come any closer!" This meant that Mukuro was the only one who could get close to Makoto. She had ended countless lives on the battlefield. She knew from experience. If she didn't treat Makoto's wounds, he would die. They weren't immediately fatal, but if he continued losing blood, he would eventually slip into shock and die shortly thereafter. Please, you need to treat Makoto first! Absolutely not, said Byakuya, harshly interrupting Mukuro. Tying you up and examining the back of your right hand is our first priority. Hey, Makoto's in danger! Now's not the time for that! Said Ai, as she cast a worried glance at Makoto. She was still having trouble understanding the situation, and hadn't decided if Makoto was suspicious or not. Byakuya was about to snap back at her, but Mukuro's actions stunned him into silence. She took a deep breath, and then Mukuro removed the blonde wig from her head. Where there were two long, blonde pigtails only a moment before, there was now short, black hair. She cleared her face of all emotion, and when she spoke, her voice rang throughout the gym. I'm not an Oshima Junko. My name is Ikusaba Mukuro. The student stared wide-eyed at her open confession. All she did was remove her wig and clear her emotions. But in doing so, the person the students had recognised as Enoshima Junko vanished from their sight. The terrorist that had taken her place continued to speak in a calm, stoic tone. I helped lock everyone inside this academy. The confession on the seaside cliff moment has finally arrived, Hifumi blurted out. Wigs are against school regulations, Junko! I mean, Mukuro! Shouted Taka. As if stirred by their cries of excitement, the other students began clamouring among themselves. Huh? Said Yasuhiro. So Makoto's wounds are like real? Does that mean that stuff about terrorists and whatever is real too? So everything that's happened these past few days wasn't a bunch of staged events? As the reality of the situation began dawning on Yasuhiro, all Leon could say to him was, Shut the hell up! Byakuya just remained calm and addressed Mukuro in a condescending manner. What does your group want? If you were after money, you would have already tried to negotiate with me. Of course, I'd rather let them die than surrender to your ransom demands. Our purpose is to fill the world with despair. Byakuya scoffed at this notion and began to speak once again. I see. Monokuma said something similar. So that ideology is what fuels your terrorism. It's true. If you did anything to me, you would certainly fill the world with despair. But obviously, that would be impossible for you. Ai couldn't believe what Byakuya was saying, and frowned as she muttered, How self-centered can you be? After confirming that Byakuya had no more questions for her, Mukuro looked at Makoto, whose breathing had slowed, and let her voice show some emotion. But Makoto has nothing to do with this. You can't believe what Monokuma says. Why did you say bitch? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're a terrorist, just like Monokuma said. Mukuro looked away from Mondo and continued speaking. That's true. But Makoto isn't involved at all. Celeste coldly brushed her objection aside. I do not think trying to protect him will do you any good. After all, we all heard Makoto call you by your real name. That's... She had no words. There was nothing she could say to protect Makoto. Even though Makoto was truly innocent. Though Mukuro was the ultimate soldier, her powers were largely limited to battle. Even a normal high school student could outwit her when it comes to debate and negotiation. If she were the ultimate negotiator, she might be able to convince them that their memories had really been erased. But in her current situation, if she tried to bring up their memory loss, they would think it was a desperate excuse. Even Mukuro knew that. But even if she didn't know what to say, she still knew what to do. Right now, we need to treat Makoto first. And then she started walking toward Makoto as if nothing had happened. To the others, it seemed like Mukuro had decided to abruptly change the subject. Hold it. We will immediately take Makoto to the nurse's office for treatment. However, we must tie you up. That was Sakura's honest demand. But there was no way Mukuro could accept it. If she was separated from Makoto, there'd be no telling what Monokuma would do to him. And between Mondo's hot temper and Byakuya's cold heart, Makoto could easily sustain further injuries under the pretense of interrogation. Furthermore, among these students, Mukuro knew she was the only one who had experience treating wounds due to her time with Fenrir. After mulling it over, she narrowed her eyes and went silent. Her mind was made up. She was determined to fight her way out of here and escape with Makoto. I apologize, but I need you all to fall asleep right now. As she said that, Sakura instantly positioned herself behind Mukuro. She was completely within her blind spot. To a normal person, it would have seemed like Sakura had suddenly vanished. After moving faster than any human being could see, Sakura's equally fast hands launched a blow toward the back of Mukuro's neck. However, sorry Sakura, but I need to get out of here. Mukuro parried Sakura's fist with a spinning roundhouse kick. Yee! Sakura raised an eyebrow at the unexpected counterattack. Mukuro tried to use the momentum of her kick to sweep Sakura's feet out from under her. However, Sakura dodged and instinctively struck back against Mukuro's pivot leg. But Mukuro was faster and jumped up, aiming a tornado kick at Sakura's chin. Sakura deflected the attack with one arm, then both combatants leapt backwards, glared, and charged simultaneously. Every blow they dealt was parried and countered by the other, and though they were both unarmed, the sound of their battle echoed throughout the gym. It was like a typhoon that had been compressed to the size of a car and set loose inside. The other students were powerless to stop them. All they could do was stare at the breathtaking dance of death unfolding before them. After 10 minutes had passed, the enormous sound of one final impact rang throughout the gym. The two warriors leapt back once again and breathed heavily as they stared each other down. My mistake. Though it's only been a few days, I cannot believe I did not notice such an impressive fighter was hiding among us. In addition to the surprise Sakura felt, it was as if her battle had left her energized. Mukuro, on the other hand, looked down at her arm, confirmed that had been wounded during the battle, and thought to herself, she's strong. I don't think Sakura is even taking this seriously right now. Despite being constantly surrounded by firearms, blades, traps, and explosives during her time with Fenrir, this was the first time she had ever been wounded. Mukuro was powerless before the might of the woman known as the ultimate martial artist, and the strongest woman in the world. Just as I thought, I can't beat Sakura with my bare hands alone. If she had been directly ordered to kill Sakura, Mukuro would have opted to either snipe her from a distance or poison her. At this close range, she would need an assault rifle just to stand a fighting chance. I don't have time for this. She looked at Makoto and confirmed that his breathing had grown even shallower. I need to hurry. But at that moment, she had no one to turn to for help. Suddenly, Mukuro had an idea. It was true that gaining an ally in this situation was impossible. However, she could still turn to one person into her enemy's enemy. Mukuro took a deep breath before she charged Sakura. Then she immediately fainted and charged at a different girl. Toko, who had been cowering in fear from the battle between Sakura and Mukuro in the corner of the gym. This is bad! Sakura was caught off guard and tried to run after her, but Mukuro was one step ahead and reached Toko first. Who am I? Me? I'm sorry. Wait, hold on! Mukuro jabbed Toko in her solar plexus, and she fell into her arms. Taka and Ai yelled out in shock. This is bad! She plans to use Toko as a hostage! Toko! In contrast to their shocked faces, Byakuya just snickered and coldly remarked, You fool. Do you really think we care if you take someone we just met a few days ago as your hostage? Mukuro just softly glanced at Byakuya and replied, You didn't meet her a few days ago. What did you say? You met her 2 years ago. Byakuya scowled. Mukuro ignored him and held her bloody arm in front of Toko's face, and then she yelled into her ears. Wake up, Genocide Jack! It seemed so random and out of place. Why would Mukuro mention the name of a notorious serial killer right now? The students looked at each other with confusion when suddenly, Toko, who had been groaning in pain, suddenly kicked off at the floor of the gym with renewed vigour. She leapt into the air much higher than any normal human could be able to. While hovering several metres in midair, Toko twirled faster than a professional figure skater. This caused her skirt to flutter, revealing multiple pairs of sparkling scissors. Countless tally marks were scratched into her legs, like a kill count carved into a fighter jet. If not for this situation, Tokuro's glamorous jumps and spins would have been a sight to behold. The girl, formerly known as Hukama Toko, cackled wildly, her red eyes sparkling as her absurdly long tongue flopped out of her mouth. You come for me and so I appear! I got a murder IOU for IOU! Toko? The situation had changed so drastically that even Sayaka, who was silent until now, spoke up. Hey, you flash in the pan. Don't treat Genocide Jack like that depressing little Four Eyes. That dirty girl doesn't bathe herself at all, so I gotta put in 5 times the effort to dry myself down in the shower. Yee! Toko's sudden change in personality sent the students clamouring among themselves. Hey, what the hell does that mean? Monokuma just shook his head. There are some things even I don't understand. The students continued to panic at the strange turn of events. Toko, now calling herself Genocide Jack, took out a pair of scissors from under her skirt and snipped them with glee as she looked around the gym. Huh? Man, it's been a while since I got to stretch my legs. So what were you guys going to do here in the gym while I was snoozing away? Have an orgy? I understand. I totally understand. You guys need me to cut me close so you can feel even naughtier. Yeah, right. Why the hell would I do that for you dumbasses? My scissors are only meant for cutting the supple tender flesh of adorable boys. Genocide Jack was causing a ruckus, but when she saw Makoto laying on the floor, she tilted her head once again. Huh? Big Mac, you're like totally about to die. What's the deal? Did the world fill you with so much despair that you all came in to commit mass suicide? That's so hard! Why are you starting without me? Toko! Cried I. Get a hold of yourself! Genocide Jack ignored Ai and let her emotions run unchecked, jumping and dancing with excitement as she held her scissors. Ah, jeez! I wanted to stab Big Mac's side myself! This spot right here, where the ribs are kind of showing already! He's not even screaming right now, though! What does that mean? Oh well, maybe I can just get used to this feeling of alienation instead. I have no idea what's going on anymore! Shouted Yasuhiro. This is all the aliens' fault! Yasuhiro buried his head into his arms, but no one was paying attention to him. The students' attention was entirely focused on Genocide Jack. Using that to her advantage, Mukuro began sneaking over to Makoto. As she cautiously picked him up, she confirmed that his body temperature was starting to decrease. I could still make it there in time. Though she was carrying another person, Mukuro managed to soften the sound of her footsteps as she ran for the gym's doors. By the time the students heard Mukuro open the door, it was already too late. She had managed to escape the gym with Makoto. However, not everyone was unaware of what Mukuro was doing. Monokuma saw her movements out of the corner of his eye, but chose not to tell the students. And one other person, Kirigiri Kyoko. She saw Mukuro carry Makoto away, but did not inform the others as she watched them leave in silence. As everyone wrestled with their own personal thoughts and speculations, Hope Peak Academy began walking a path to a completely different chaos. With Makoto on her back, Mukuro took several trophies from the gym entrance hall, and after passing through the door leading to the hallway, she jammed the trophies through the door handles. Though Sakura could easily destroy these makeshift locks, they should buy Mukuro a few extra seconds. Then Mukuro started running to the nurse's office, the place she last spoke to Makoto. Everything necessary for performing first aid could be found there. Her little sister was her enemy. Her fellow Ultimate students were her enemy. Her only ally right now was Makoto, who was on the verge of death. Mukuro knew that even she wasn't her own ally right now. Amidst all this chaos, amidst her sister's betrayal and nearly being killed, she believed. She believed she was the only one who truly understood her little sister. That's why she felt like she had to protect her. That's right. You didn't do anything wrong, Junko. You just wanted to feel despair, that's all, right? Because you loved me. That's why you wanted to kill me. You were just trying to feel despair, right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry I failed to bring you despair. But at the same time, she wondered. If she saves Makoto and betrays her sister by disrupting her plan, wouldn't that fill her with an even stronger despair? Wouldn't that make her happy? But betray Junko? What should I do? Mukuro closed her eyes and listened to Makoto's weak breaths. What should I do, Makoto? On a battlefield where all you need to do is kill and survive, Mukuro was invincible. She could suppress all her emotions and fully immerse herself in becoming a perfect killing machine. But on this twisted battlefield of daily high school life, she could no longer keep her emotions in check, especially around her little sister. Mukuro, the ultimate soldier, was beginning to question being ultimate despair. The impulse of the normal high school girl inside her was starting to affect her state of mind. Even so, the poor girl continued to run through the dark hallways, clinging to this conflict within herself. She was now walking along a narrow, hair-thin path, a path between the hope of Naegi Makoto and the despair of Enoshima Junko. Meanwhile, everyone still in the gym was left in a complete state of confusion. Toko was infamous for being a prolific author, but even though she came across as unsociable and depressing, her mind-blowing transformation seemed to have just tossed all that aside. The Toko is a genocide, Jack? Sayaka trembled with fear as Jack tilted her head and stuck out her long tongue. Huh? What's with this reception, you guys? You guys didn't know who I was? Have I been found out? Or have you known all along? And why was the Southern Samurai dressed like that? That outfit didn't look good on her at all. The Southern Samurai was probably referring to Mukuro, which means Toko already knew Mukuro in advance. Confronted by that shocking truth, the students had no idea where to begin talking. So many things were clearly wrong by this point. But there were a few students, such as Byakuya and Kyoko, who opted to remain calm and observe the situation. Alright, someone better spell it. Who gave Makoto an extra mouth to feed? I don't care if you want to stab him or slice him. I just don't care forgive who put that ugly asshole in Big Mac's side. Toko, no. Genocide Jack spun her scissors in her hands. As she spoke, Her emotions and facial expressions constantly changed. Even without the threat of her scissors, she exuded an aura of danger that made her unapproachable. The flagstick of a young boy like Mukaru's is like a bluebird that pops out of a golden egg. If you would have just let me handle it, I would have killed him so good and even Tino the Mill would be eager to die. But poor Mahukuni's heart and soul have been stomped out by such a sloppy kill. That just sounds pretty exciting too. But I decline. Taco, you're not making any sense! Screamed I. What in the world happened to you? Genocide Jack answered by pointing her scissors at I. What happened to me? I got bored, that's what. That sample slumped me a few days ago, but when she went unconscious, I thought I'm finally gonna do my thing. But I woke up for all of this? Cutie soaked with blood and I've got no clue what's going on? It's so damn confusing! All I can do is laugh. No one seemed to be able to get a straight answer out of Jack, so Hifumi made a timid remark. I don't like girls with like this in my 2D dating games, but this doesn't even compare. It's like there's an SSS difficulty level to clear her. I can't even believe you'd even think about her as someone worth clearing, mumbled Leon. It was clear that things were going nowhere. And as if she were responding to everyone else's expectations, Sakura stepped forward. She might be in the throes of confusion. I should try to restrain her for now. As soon as she heard that, Genocide Jack stopped moving, stuck out her lizard-like tongue, and grinned wickedly. Oh! What's up? Are you really gonna fight me, Battle Ogre? Too bad! My lovely scissors are only for cutting for adorable boys! Women should just stay home! I won't take my scissors with your filthy blood! Replied Sakura. It seems my words are useless on you. Sakura entered a fighter's stance, determined to restrain Jack. But Jack knew she couldn't win in a fair fight, and opted a strange stance of her own. In a normal fight, Jack would obviously lose to the ogre. But if Jack just focused on dodging attacks, the outcome of the fight would be too hard to foresee. Of course, Genocide Jack's physical abilities were only obvious to a few of the students in the first place. The two women exchanged hostile stares as the other students gulped nervously and watched. Except for one person. Kyoko was watching something else. She was watching Monokuma, who was in the corner of the gym, unmoving, as white noise emitted from his speakers. He had stopped moving the moment everyone's attention focused on Sakura and Taco. It's possible that Madarai's hacking had been disrupted, but an infinite number of other possibilities swirled around in Kyoko's mind. She brushed back her hair with a gloved hand and continued to watch. Though she couldn't fully remember her talent, the actions she was taking right now were fueled by pure instinct. The strange situations that kept occurring in front of her were shaking her to her very core. Her mind worked diligently to scoop up countless amounts of information from her vast sea of memories, and as they were synchronizing with the synapses firing in her brain, Sakura and Toko kicked off the ground at the same time, and an intense impact rang throughout the gym. Thanks to the heated battle that was unfolding in the gymnasium, Ikusawa Mukuro was able to buy more time than she had imagined. As soon as she entered the nurse's office, she rummaged around for her medical supplies and did what she could to stop the bleeding. Though she's still quite shallow, Makoto's breathing slowly stabilised. Mukuro let out a little sigh of relief. However, even though she was somehow able to stop the bleeding, she wasn't out of the woods yet. Miraculously enough, it seemed like none of Makoto's major arteries or organs were damaged. Was this perhaps thanks to his ultimate luck? Or maybe he wasn't all that lucky. After all, the only sort of treatment he could hope for was partial at best. Mukuro couldn't decide. If only I could do a blood transfusion. The nurse's office should have had several blood packs for transfusions. Mukuro suspected that Makoto's blood type might be written in his e-handbook, but as she reached over to search his pockets, I see kids you're reaching for a sleeping boy's clothes. What in the world's about to happen next? Adults can keep playing, but you kids better press the B button, okay? Mukuro turned toward that familiar voice and saw Monokuma standing before her. You're all alone with Makoto right now. Just think of me as a cute wild animal. Let your lust lead the way. As the headmaster, I must prevent any illicit sexual relationships, but physical education classes are just fine, Missy. Though he looked just like the one that was at the gym, it was clearly a different Monokuma. Multiple Monokumas have been placed throughout the entire academy, so it wasn't a stretch for him to suddenly appear out of nowhere. Regardless, the same person was controlling all of them. Mukuro had been wary of Monokuma attacking her while she was treating Makoto's wounds, but his appearance at this particular moment seemed to take her by surprise. Juko? Asked Mukuro cautiously. Monokuma tilted his head, along with his entire upper body, inquisitively. Junko? Who's that? Junko? I've never heard that country before. No more jokes. Answer me, Junko. You were planning to kill me earlier, right? Junko this, Junko that. What's your problem? I'm telling you, I'm Monokuma. You must be a big disappointment if you can't even remember something like that. You're not just a disappointment as a person, you're a disappointment as a sister too. You're too skinny, and your brain is nothing but muscles, and your personality's just unbearable. I'm sorry, said Mukuro. She didn't need to apologise, but hearing her little sister call her a disappointment yet again was enough to make the ultimate soldier recoil. Monokuma ignored her and her current situation, climbed on top of Makoto's barely breathing body and began poking his cheeks. So what are you going to do with Makoto now? I'm really interested in human mating habits, you know. What are you? Mukuro asked before trailing off. Monokuma lowered his tone and began whispering into her ear. Makoto's a pretty nice guy, huh? He even sacrificed himself to save you. He's so generous that it's actually hopeless. He's not dead yet, insisted Mukuro. Despite her firm tone, she couldn't hide the fear lingering in her voice. That's the most disappointing about you. You can't even say, I won't let him die. I won't let him die, Junko. Mukuro could barely get in a word as Monokuma erupted into boo-boo-boos and continued to torment her. As if you could do that. Too bad. No regrets. See you tomorrow. Is this all because Makoto was the first person to smile at you? You? A disappointed, depressing, unladylike, inhuman killing machine? Despite denying that he was Junko, Monokuma began speaking at length about Mukuro's past. This contradiction was very much like Junko, and Mukuro was so shaken that all she could do was watch the bear prattle on and on. Only the fit survive in this world. The only thing this kind-hearted people can do is die, you know? As proof, you're gonna watch Makoto die really soon. Boop, 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 boop. He won't die. Mukuro's tone of voice had become irregular ever since she took off the Junko wig. Aside from her conversation with Makoto, everything she'd written as Junko was the script that her sister had written, but now there was no script for Mukuro to rely on anymore. Mukuro was treating Monokuma like she would treat her own sister. If the other students saw her attitude so weak, they'd never believe she was the same person who fought Sakura in the gym. And not just that, if anyone from her mercenary past could see her now, her stark changing attitude might make them think she was someone else entirely. Monokuma continued to rail against Mukuro. "Nope, he's gonna die. I know it's sad, but you just have to face the facts." Monokuma wriggled his limbs and danced around, then pointed right at Mukuro's face. "Because Makoto is going to die by your hands." "Huh?" "Infighting among the terrorists. The big bad terrorist silences the weak-willed Makoto before he can leak any information. Doesn't that happen all the time? In the end, all the desperate things you said in the gym turned out to be lies you told just to escape. Boo, 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 boo." Mukuro frowned at Monokuma. "You can't do that, Junko. I won't let you do that!" As she blurted out those words in a trembling voice, Mukuro was gripped by confusion about what she had just said. Am I defying Junko right now? Why? It was a strange feeling. To Mukuro, it was like she was standing on the ledge of a tall building and imagining what would happen if she jumped. A destructive feeling, akin to holding a friend's baby and wondering what would happen if you tripped and fell. Before she knew it, fear and anxiety had suddenly taken control of Mukuro's heart. As a member of Fenrir, and as ultimate despair, Mukuro had killed innumerable people. She had handled live grenades before. She had descended from the sky in a parachute as anti-aircraft weaponry fired all around her. Her heart never wavered on the battlefield, but now it felt like it could collapse at any second. Monokuma, however, was stable as a tree, and slightly tilted his head from side to side. Huh? Weren't you listening to my story? I'm not the one who's going to kill Makoto. You are. What are you saying, Junko? Monokuma began giving a strange explanation to a very confused Mukuro. Do you know what the suspension bridge effect really means? It means you push the person you love off a bridge and they'll be yours for eternity. I haven't heard that at all. Life doesn't always follow what your textbooks say. It's sad, but that's what love is. His words made no sense, and Mukuro couldn't think of anything to say as she stood there dumbfounded. Meanwhile, Monokuma continued his little speech, intentionally saying things meant to antagonize Mukuro. Basically, this is your big chance, you know? If you kill Makoto right here and now, nobody will ever take him away from you again. Naegi Makoto, dead by dawn. The last name he ever spoke was Ikasaba Mukuro. The last person he ever smiled at was Ikasaba Mukuro. Doesn't that sound wonderful? There was a certain appeal to Monokuma's twisted suggestion, and Mukuro found herself unsure of her own judgment. This is wrong. It has to be wrong. But it's really Junko saying all this. So doesn't that mean it's right? No, this isn't Junko. It's Monokuma. Monokuma. And are you sure you want to help Makoto? Once he gets better, he's gonna know everything. He'll know what you did to your classmates. I can't believe you would actually erase your friend's memory of their time together and force them to kill each other. Makoto might get mad at you and say, our real enemy isn't the bear, it's her! Do you really want him to blame you for all this? Mukuro's face turned pale. Or are you going to kill the others? If everyone except Makoto and you dies, you'll be able to spend the rest of your school life together. We can't hold a class trial with only 2 people. It might be a good idea for you both to live the rest of your lives in this academy forever. No, that's wrong. And what are you going to do if his memories return? It's not like you were dating Makoto or anything. You were just watching him from afar the whole time. Man, you're so shy. You can shoot people's hearts and brains no problem, but you can't even woo some stupid boy into liking you. Do you want to know who Makoto had a crush on before his memories were taken away? Mukuro trembled as Monokuma continued pressing the issue, gradually loosening the screws keeping her heart secure. So Mukuro chose to pretend she didn't hear anything at all. All emotion vanished from her face, and she looked silently from Makoto's e-handbook. If you're looking for his blood type, it's not written in this handbook. Mukuro's face turned pale. Within 5 seconds, her plan to ignore Monokuma had already failed. But since your headmaster is made with 50% kindness, I'll tell you anyway. Makoto's blood type is B! As soon as she heard him say that, all the anxiety, horror, hostility, malice, and dread churning within Mukuro had completely vanished. Thank you, Junko! Mukuro's eyes sparkled without a hint of suspicion, so she turned her back to Monokuma without a hint of suspicion and walked toward the refrigerator containing the blood packs. Fresh blooded packs should have been prepared before the plan took effect. They'll last in cold storage for 21 days. They should still be good. Despite her emotionless face, Mukuro let herself feel a small amount of satisfaction as she took a blood pack from the refrigerator. As Monokuma watched her, his normally emotionless eyes twitched ever so slightly. If a third party could see his face right now, or even if the other students could see his face right now, they'd wonder, is Monokuma surprised? That's right. They'd have the same shocked look on their faces as if they were seeing Monokuma for the first time. At that moment, a whisper cracked out of Monokuma's emotionless face. There should be a limit to how disappointing you can be. It was far quieter than a mosquito's wings. Even with her battle-hardened hearing, Mukuro didn't catch a word. Monokuma shook his head, and the voice returned to normal. It's not like that I care about you. The ultimate despair has hope in anything. It's not like I expected much from you to begin with, so this'll at least help me feel despair. Huh? But seriously, you disappoint me. Just so you know, despair and disappointment are completely different things, okay? They're as different as bears and pandas. What are you? Mukuro's body started to shake as she turned back to look at Monokuma. He hadn't started talking any differently than usual. Junko hadn't turned off the voice modulator and started talking in her real voice or anything. And yet, Mukuro was utterly terrified. She was terrified on instinct, not as a soldier. Half the reason she was terrified was because of her instincts of the ultimate despair, and the other half was because she was Junko's older sister. Even through Monokuma, her instincts were telling her that Junko was annoyed with her. Junko? Why are you annoyed? Is it because I betrayed you? Or is it because I didn't die like you wanted me to? So I'm beyond annoyed! I'm really, really angry! And I'm really, really disappointed right now! I'm so pissed I could take a rage nap right now! Monokuma's anger didn't seem any different from his usual anger toward the students, but Mukuro could instinctively sense another emotion mixed with it. Right now, she could feel that Junko was feeling hopeless disappointment. It's normal for someone who's disappointed to lose hope, but for ultimate despair, disappointment means something else. To them, disappointment was tantamount to losing despair itself. Mukuro was a member of Ultimate Despair, after all. At her sister's behest, Mukuro had soiled her hands many times in order to fill the world with despair. Despite her pride being towards a member of Ultimate Despair, there was a clear difference between Mukuro and her sister. Enoshima Junko was despair incarnate. She was born in despair, letting it infect other people's hopes so it could rot them from the inside out, twisting them into her own image. For Junko, feeling hope was its own despair. Creating despair in others created despair in herself, which caused her to feel both intense pain and intense bliss. Junko had walked the fracture created from the conflict between pleasure and penance all her life. Eventually, the fracture would widen until it swallowed the whole world and tore it in half. But Mukuro, on the other hand, had neither hope nor despair for the world. At least not when she was a member of Fenrir. Ever since she was a child, Mukuro believed she was meant to spread despair because of her sister. She didn't harbour any ill will toward the world. She simply accepted she was meant to spread despair and chose to walk the same path as her sister. The doubt she felt was only a recent development. When Junko told her about the plan, when she watched the world burn at the hands of terrorists wearing Monokuma masks, she never wavered once. However, as soon as she heard about her sister's plan to make their classmates kill each other, Makoto included, a strange feeling began to stir within her. What started as a seed of doubt soon grew into a thorny vine ensnaring Mukuro's feet. As soon as she disguised herself as Junko and finished meeting the other students, as soon as she had confirmed that everyone's memories had been completely taken away, that vine began tightening around Mukuro's heart. They're gone. Junko's the only one who knows about me now. That's it. But that's no problem. It's just like old times. Things will never go back to how they used to be. But that's fine. This should be fine. She had relinquished the past 2 years, spent with her friends so she could betray them, and deliver death and despair unto them. Though her heart ached, Mukuro was beyond feeling guilt or remorse for her actions. But the question, why does my heart ache like this, still remained unanswered. Perhaps that's why she spent so much time talking to Makoto when he was in the nurse's office. And when Makoto gave her that one particular answer, something changed inside her. In return, I promise that if I do decide to kill someone, it won't be you. The words Mukuro blurted out to Makoto, words improvised to fulfill her role as Junko. It was an honest sentiment from the bottom of her heart. She was even planning to ask Junko herself if Makoto could somehow be spared from her plan. Over the past 2 years, Mukuro's interests have been slowly shifting from her sister and toward the world itself. By extension, her interests also included Makoto, the first person to ever smile at her and make her feel connected to the world. He was like a sapling of pure honesty that had taken root in Mukuro's heart. But by the time she realised that, the tree had already rotted. As Mukuro struggled to understand the situation, Monokuma let out a sigh and said, I wonder which part of you is a wolf anyway? You're just a dog that blindly follows Junko's orders. What does the tattoo on your right hand even mean? Are you just a bitch who's pledged her loyalty to her owner? I bet Toko would say that. I'm positive. Huh? Monokuma continued to talk as Mukuro stood in confusion. I was obviously lying when I said Makoto's blood type is B. What? Cried Mukuro. You lied? Junko! A normal person would have been suspicious. I never thought you'd actually believe me just now. I must have misplaced my eyes because I totally did not see that coming. Not even with my ability to predict the future. How shocking. Jeez, I'm about to start crying my eyes out like some sort of robot cat. Seriously. It's going to be okay, Junko, said Mukuro. I know our plan kind of fell apart, but I'm still on your side. Are you feeling alright? Because I'll do anything. Snap! A harsh sound came from Monokuma's mouth. That sound was one of my circuits overloading. It's been so long since I felt this angry. Meet me on the roof of the school. I'll smash out all your baby teeth. Monokuma started shadowboxing in front of Mukuro, who remained frozen in place, clutching a blood pack in her hand. She still looked confused, and Monokuma threw up his arms in frustration. You're so disappointing I can't even predict it anymore! Roar! A threatening roar burst from Monokuma's mouth as he leapt at Mukuro with his sharp claws extended. At that moment, her face became completely emotionless. It was not a conscious action. The defensive instincts she honed during her time with Fenrir temporarily suppressed her emotions as she countered Monokuma's attack. Mukuro grabbed a nearby IV stand and used it to parry Monokuma's claws. However, Monokuma's claws seemed to be made with a special alloy and easily sliced the bar in half diagonally. But instead of following up its attack, Monokuma continued talking to Mukuro. I guess you're not that much of a disappointment when it comes to fighting. In fact, if you were so pathetic that you died from that single attack, that would have been interesting in its own way. But right now, you're just incompetent at everything. I'm sorry, said Mukuro. I couldn't help blocking your attack, but there's no way I can thank you, Junko. After all, I'm all you have. I'm the only one who understands you at all. Mukuro's words were riddled with endless dismay. The contrast between her usual stoic self and the way she was acting now was so stark, people might assume she had multiple personalities. However, Monokuma just quietly stared at her. He was perfectly still, as if all his functions had powered down completely. But Mukuro continued to share her feelings. There's no way I can just leave you alone. And then Monokuma broke his silence. But at that moment, a monitor in nurse's office lit displaying a girl's face, Enoshima Junko. At the same time, a voice completely unlike Monokuma's began to play from the speakers. Hey Mukuro! Junko? It had been several days since Mukuro had heard her sister's real voice, though her face remained emotionless. Excitement sparkled in her eyes. However, that shine immediately dulled. I'm grateful to you, Mukuro. I mean it! Junko's voice emanating from the speakers sounded very gentle and kind. Junko? I'm really sorry. I said so many mean things to you. I even tried to kill you earlier, and I was about to make you do something horrible right now. Even though I know your feelings towards Makoto. I don't. You don't have to force yourself. Even if you didn't notice, it was totally obvious to anyone looking at you. You never care about the class photos, but when Makoto said he was going to take one, you made sure you were facing the camera. And in Enoshima Junko, the ultimate despair, flashed a smile, a pure, sweet smile. On the monitor, she looked like a normal high school girl, teasing her older sister, and yet, Mukuro could feel despair and anxiety encasing themselves around her. I always thought you should have tried hard to take pictures with Makoto, but I guess that's what makes you so disappointing. Still, even though you're disappointing and annoying, I still love you. Mukuro trembled upon hearing those words. I love you. That's all she ever wanted to hear her sister say. Mukuro believed. No matter what Junko said, she believed she really loved her. She believed she was the only one who could truly understand the despair known as Enoshima Junko. She was naive. As soon as she heard Junko say, I love you, Mukuro realized she never completely understood her sister. It was only at this moment that Mukuro finally understood her sister's feelings. Junko's words were kind. Perhaps that kindness was completely honest. The words, I love you, might have been true as well. However, for Enoshima Junko, this was her way of saying goodbye. She was severing the ties between them. It was painfully clear to Mukuro. And then, before she could even say anything, the girl in the monitor made a remark that cut Mukuro to the bone. I'm sure someday you'll make your dreams come true. Ultimate Despairs never talk to each other like this. A simple truth stabbed into Mukuro's heart. Junko had no further use for her. Her own sister was parting ways with her. Mukuro had dedicated over 10 years of her life to the cause of ultimate despair, and at this moment, it all counted for nothing. But those years no longer mattered to Mukuro. Her sister's rejection was more than enough to send her into the depths of despair. That's why Mukuro, even now, clung to a small sliver of hope. Meanwhile, Junko was still on the monitor. Yeah, right! Did you really think I'd say something that nice? You're so annoying! Can't you just hurry up and disappear already? Mukuro hoped Junko would say something like that. She hoped that she'd start verbally abusing her again, or call her useless and incompetent. Mukuro was no masochist, but she preferred to be showered with bullets and contempt than endure this kind of emotional pain. But, I love you, Mukuro! Bye-bye! The monitor went black, leaving Mukuro to process the horrible goodbye she'd just received. And as if on cue, Monokuma started moving again. Isn't family love so nice? By the way, did you know that in about half of all murder cases, the killer is a family member? Monokuma spoke in his usual tone of voice, but it was unclear if his words were getting through to Mukuro. She let the blood pack in her hand fall to the floor, and tightened her grip on the iron bar she still held. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Junko, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. She mumbled quietly, as if she were chanting a spell, and walked past the blood pack to Makoto's bedside with the iron bar in her hands. I'll do it properly. I'll make sure I do it. So... Ow? Said Monokuma, perking up. What are you going to do properly to Makoto with that big, thick rod you got there? Are you going to do him? Or are you going to do him in? Either way, I'm starting to feel some heart-throbbing excitement. Doki doki! Mukuro looked like she had been completely broken. Monokuma walked close to her with eager anticipation. Suddenly, Monokuma's body silently floated into the air. Ah? With no expression on his face, Monokuma tried to see what had just happened to him. and in the blink of an eye, an iron bar ripped through his body. The tip of the bar, which had been cut diagonally earlier into a sharp point, went straight through Monokuma and stabbed into a surveiller's camera. The lens was completely destroyed, and the camera shot out as sparks as it broke down. The iron bar was still stabbed into the surveiller's camera as Monokuma dangled from the other end. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but only static came out. A few seconds later, his functions came to a complete stop. Without making a sound at all, Mukuro had kicked Monokuma into the air. As soon as Monokuma's power source and his bomb circuit perfectly aligned with the surveiller's camera in the nurse's office, Mukuro plunged the bar into all three of them. No normal human has the skill to utilize such a technique, not even an ultimate. All the hesitation within Mukuro vanished. Her eyes sparkled like a panther stalking its prey at night. A tense aura surrounded Mukuro, even more so than when she fought Segura earlier. Ignoring Monokuma's lifeless form, she looked at Makoto as he breathed softly and remembered her sister's parting words. "So this is despair," she mumbled to herself. "I'm so sorry, Junko. I never really understood what despair was." She spoke without emotion, like a machine. "But it's going to be alright now. I finally understand." Hidden within her, passions began to stir. "So, I'll make sure I make you happy, Junko. I'll make sure I fill you with despair. I'll save Makoto. I'll make sure the others don't die. I'll let them escape from this place. I'll deal with the people on the outside too. You invested so much time and killed so many people for the sake of this plan, and I'll destroy every last remnant of it for you." This was not an act of vengeance toward the sister who had abandoned her. This was an act of mercy. Stuck between the ultimate despair and the hope she gained from Makoto, Mukuro was being refined to something that was unlike despair or hope, and she had no way of knowing where her path would lead. And with that, we're going to insert a bookmark, and we're going to call it a night for this stream. Come back for a second part in the coming days. For those of you who watched and listened, thank you very much. It's been a chill-out stream, a relaxing stream, and we'll be back for more of it later in the week. Until then, good night.